I would like to talk about healthcare API, and one of the prominent API where basically I work is FHIR. So here FHIR is simply fast healthcare interoperability resources. It's an HL7 standard, health level 7 standard for data exchange. Now the interesting part about FHIR is that it comes with two different aspects. One, it gives you the content model. That means you have the standard format, but it also talks about out of the box APIs. That means how the two systems, like Ayush mentioned, how the two systems are going to interact with each other in healthcare. So what you want to, why you need API, so that one system can expose data without hiding the technical complexity of its own, right? So I, as a EMR, EHR, I don't want to expose my backend, expose my application. So I'm hiding all those things, and I have built one more layer, middle layer, you can say, which is hiding or encapsulating all the complexity, all my backend. So whatever data you want, you just hit my API and try to get that information. So see, the world is already using REST APIs. Even before FHIR, world was using REST APIs. So what FHIR has done especially, they are saying instead of using your own custom API, why don't we start using standard APIs? And because of these standard APIs, the biggest impact FHIR has created has it has allowed big ecosystem to create around big EMR EHRs like Apix or Cerners or AllScript. There are big EMR EHRs which hospitals uses. So to modify those EMR EHRs, it's very difficult piece. But we can pull the data from those EMR EHRs using the APIs, and we can build our own application, which is just coming out, or that application is running an algorithm and providing us some specific information. Like we have built one application where we used to fetch a lot of data from Epic EMR, and our application used to provide or predict kidney failure, renal failure, and also used to predict medications for congestive heart failure patients. But for algorithm to run, it needs to pull the data from EMR EHR. So what FHIR is saying, uh, FHIR is allowing us to provide a standard format along with the standard APIs. Like over here, if we see this, just a very quick diagram, which is a presentation that which is showcasing that there are so many different applications, and they all can interact with EHR backend. Finally, the data is in the EHR backend, but that's not exposed to rest of the world through the RESTful FHIR APIs. So the important aspect for us to understand is that FHIR API, as I said, it's most prominent API right now to exchange data in healthcare, especially the clinical information. I mean, there are a variety of data in healthcare, like we have patient demographics or allergies, that means clinical diagnostics, claims. Like in US, you might see that for financial data, that is claims and other things, we are also using EDI X12. That's a different format, right? FHIR is a different format, but FHIR caters most of the use cases, whatever data you want to exchange in healthcare. So what we exchange in FHIR is nothing but these resources. Okay, there are many resources given by FHIR. If I just quickly go to the FHIR site itself, okay, to show you that how FHIR is helping us to achieve interoperability. These are various resources. So where each resource is one has a one particular use case, or you can say each resource has one particular purpose. If I have a requirement to exchange allergies, I will use this resource versus vitals versus any organization information, patient demographic, doctors or nurses or anyone who is directly indirectly involved in the healthcare process. So different resources for different type of data exchange. So these resources are, you can write these resources in standard format, that is JSON or XML. So how FHIR is helping, I mean, with the help of FHIR, how I can achieve my interoperability with the help of common format and common API. So what do you mean by common format, common API? So imagine a world without FHIR. Still, if you see, there are already RESTful APIs. Systems are already using RESTful APIs. So before FHIR came into picture, RESTful APIs were already there. So for example, I have an application. This application wants to get the data from some Epic EMR, maybe a hospital having Epic EMR. So they might have their custom REST API. Now, what do you mean by custom REST API? They will define their own endpoint, which is fine. Endpoint is like an entry gate, a point where you reach, simply a logical endpoint where you reach and you simply knock on the door and say, hey, can you give me a specific type of data? So whatever is the endpoint, for example, let's say it's a Good Health Hospital, which has defined this their own server, whatever is the URL. This is like the endpoint, and then they have their custom API like patient demo, and then their custom parameters like MRN123, and then maybe for first name, maybe Aditya. So see, this is the app requesting the data from the Epic or any other EMR. This is a custom. Why I'm saying custom? Because this hospital, this specific hospital would have built this particular API. Okay, they will have their own backend. So this is like the EMR backend, and in EMR backend, you might have a table like patient demo, where you have MRN or maybe PAT ID, and then you might have SSN, you might have first underscore name. So understand the basic fundamentals here, that not necessarily your parameter names or the API name is same as table name or the column name. No, we want to hide this complexity. We don't want to share this information to rest of the world, to this application. So application is hitting this particular API. Over here, we definitely need some program, some server, right? We simply call it server, which will understand this API, go in the backend and pull the data, right? And then send in their custom format, right? So the format might be their own custom format. Like over here, it might be like pat underscore name is the JSON element, and then within patient name we might have one column, one element like first underscore name or maybe first name, like this. So understand, this is what where the world was. How FHIR is solving this? Now the problem here is, this is fine. The only problem is if this app has to integrate with hundreds of such systems. Now imagine this situation. This is one EMR. It's not about EMR. This is hospital too. They might have their own custom API, custom backend. This might be completely different. Okay, their own backend that might not be relational also. So this might be just XYZ or the maybe demographic API, whatever the API name. Okay, and then even the parameters name can be different, pattern, all those things, and even this can also be different, right? So the problem with the applications is that they have to understand the custom API and custom format. How FHIR is solving all this? FHIR is saying, why don't we use the standard format and standard API? So what is FHIR API here? FHIR is saying whatever is your endpoint, the key is what you exchange is resource, and I will give you the parameter names. Okay, I am gonna give the parameter names. So this is out of the box API. What you exchange in FHIR is resource, and these parameters are also standard. So if app has a requirement to integrate with hundreds of such hospitals, and if all of them are on FHIR, see, we can achieve interoperability seamlessly. More important, it's not about what is possible, it's about what we can achieve seamlessly and in less amount of time. App has to integrate with hundreds of such hospitals. Now if all those hospital systems are on FHIR, then for app, for any application to integrate becomes much easier. And this is the functional part of the implementation. There has to be authorization also, and FHIR also supports that. Like there are open source libraries like Smart on FHIR, through which you can have both the applications can be on the same platform about how to achieve authorization, like using auth 2.0 or any other technology. Okay, so using a Smart on FHIR for APIs, for using a Smart on FHIR APIs for authorization part, and using FHIR API for achieving the exchange of data. And then the format is also going to be standard. So it's not like just the API, but even the benefit is even this format is also going to be standard. So what JSON comes is already fixed. It's the structure already given by the FHIR. So first name will be given only. Okay, last name will be family only, and so on. So standard format, standard API, this is basically fueling or enhancing the capability of systems to interact. And this, the biggest impact you will see, like Apex or Cerners, they have come up with their app orchard. They have come up with their own marketplace where you can build an API and do the integration using Smart on FHIR and FHIR APIs. So basically these EMR EHRs, which were black box earlier, because of the FHIR ecosystem, they have there is a huge surge in app development, small apps which are solving some specific use case in healthcare, and the integration is happening through FHIR APIs. Okay, well, that's pretty much I want to cover about the FHIR and how FHIR is solving the API part. As I said, resources, and within the resources also the API, that means what you want to exchange is fixed. Now imagine like this UI where I can simply say give me a resource like over here, and I can get the data. I can get over here the heart rate